Nagbabalik ang schoolmates. Okay guys, so dumako naman tayo sa ikalawang bahagi ng ating debate. Sa round na ito, random na pipiliin kung sinong mga debaters ang maghaharap-harap para sagutin at depensahan ang kanilang mga pananaw. So ready na ba ang lahat? Ready? Ready? Parang kinakabahan kayo. Chill lang, sige. Ngayon, ang magtatapatan ay sina Benj and Sam. Sa isinusulong na Bayanihan 3 Law na layuning magbigay ng tulong pinansyal hindi lang sa apektado ng oil crisis, kundi pati na rin sa mga mahihirap, makatarungan ba na gamitin ang mas mataas na buwis sa mayayaman upang pondohan ang ayuda para sa mga mahihirap?
Ang paggamit naman ng buwis natin, for example, especially sa mga mayayaman, it will be put into a different place. Sige, let's speculatively say na yung buwis ng mga mayayaman is mapupunta sa mga ayuda para sa mga mahihirap. Pero let me ask you, magsasettle na lang ba talaga tayo sa ayuda? Ayuda na lang ba palagi? Bakit natin ginagamit palagi ang ayuda bilang band-aid solution? It is a band-aid solution. Hindi natin, lawakan natin ang ating perspective. At sana, wag lang ayuda. Sana meron tayong konkretong solusyon at hindi lamang band-aid na solusyon.
Okay, Benj. Sige, let's note that. Sam?
Okay, so para sa aming side, hindi makatarungan na gamitin ang pagtaas ng buwis ng mayaman para magamit dito sa pagbibigay ng ayuda. Yes, we do agree na band-aid solution ito. But it's about spending the government's budget wisely. Hindi natin kailangan taasan ang buwis ng mga mahihirap dahil in the first place, marami tayong dapat habulin. Ang dami nating pending cases when it comes to tax evasion, as I said earlier. Therefore, we need to properly account our budget and we need to properly allocate the budget and in a sustainable way. Sabi mo nga, it's a band-aid solution.
Okay, Benj.
Makatarungan naman na gamitin yung wealth tax para sa mga ayuda ng mga mahihirap.
Okay.
Siyempre, let's say na if you are rich, you have the capacity, gaya nga na sinabi ko kanina, you have the capacity and you have the ability to pay taxes na yung mga tax na yun is mapupunta sa mga ayuda ng mga mahihirap. It's very makatarungan kasi number one, sabihin na just because that you are rich, you also have the economic responsibility to contribute sa society natin. Kasi frankly, bakit ba yung mga tax ba ng mga middle income earners, sasabihin mo ba na makatarungan ba ito kung yun yung gagamitin na pondo para sa mga ayuda ng mga mahihirap? No, pupunta tayo dun sa higher level, which is yung mga ultra-wealthy natin.
Okay, sige. So you're now questioning the source, right? O, sige, Sam, and what do you have to say to that?
Okay, sige. In the context na tutulungan yung mahihirap, okay, we do agree with that. It's good na yung taxes ay napupunta sa mga nangangailangan. Pero again, hindi kasi fair or hindi nag-make sense na itataas pa yung buwis ng mga yayaman. Dahil in the first place, nasa progressive taxation naman tayo. Bakit kailangan pa itaas? Ano pa, idadagdag mo pa, itataas mo pa lalo? Tayo na nga ang merong highest taxes among other ASEAN countries, which is developing countries also. The problem here is the government spending and the government allocation.
Bukod sa usage para magbigay ng tulong sa mga mahihirap, makatarungan ba na ang mga mayayaman ang magbabayad sa panahon ng krisis o responsibilidad ba ito ng gobyerno?
According to Hector S. De Leon, meron tayong tinatawag na 3 inherent powers of the state. Ang isa doon, number 1, is the power of taxation. Now, the power of taxation, it is an inherent power of the government wherein ginagamit ng gobyerno ang taxes ng mga countrymen nito para pondohan yung, for example, mga programs. So, in our case, itong mga magbayad sa panahon ng krisis. So doon pa lang, even if, for example, yes, let us also acknowledge na meron nga mga charitable institutions, mga NGO funded by the ultra-wealthy elite. But then again, meron ka pa ring responsibilidad na hindi naman porket you have this NGOs and charitable institution, you also have the responsibility to pay taxes.
Okay, sige, Sam.
Okay. I would like to quote na ang Philippines ay may low tax moral. Bakit?
Okay.
Dahil ito sa corruption and sa inefficiencies or hindi pagiging inefficient ng gobyerno when it comes to spending our budget. Ngayon, ang tanong natin dito is makatarungan ba na ang mga mayaman magbayad sa panahon ng krisis? Bakit hindi gobyerno? in the first place, that's their responsibility. Ayun ang responsibility na sa Estado na gabayan, i-make sure na tayong lahat ay nasa bantay na estado ng buhay, nakakatanggap ng kaginhawahan. Why would you give the burden to the rich? It doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And at the same time, yung question na to, it's falling to a band-aid solution sa panahon ng crisis. Bakit hindi before, bakit tayo magkaroon ng mga projects or mga programs or interventions na kung saan before the crisis, pero na tayong solution. And it's again falling to wise government spending.
As a government spending naman, syempre, ang ano natin, paano nga ba mapopondohan ng ating gobyerno para sa ating mga social program? Yes, sabihin na natin, corruption, it is inevitable. Aminin naman na natin, ang Pilipinas corrupt, halos lahat ng bansa may corrupt talaga.
Okay.
Ang hirap niyang alisin, ang hirap niyang tuldukan na porket, ay, ang Pilipinas corrupt, so hindi na natin kailangan taasan yung tax ng mga mga mayayaman because hindi siya makatarungan. And at the same time, yung mga tulong naman na ginagawa ng mga gobyerno, even if sabihin na natin 50%, sige 70% of the pondo na binabayad ng mga taxpayers na mayayaman is napupunta sa corruption. But what about the 30%? Let us also acknowledge na even if the budget is malused or na-utilize for corruption or kahit binubulsa ng mga corrupt na
Wait lang.
gobyerno.
So you are normalizing corruption right now.
No, I am not normalizing corruption.
Pero you said na sa ibang country, hindi inevitable naman ang corruption. So, ayun na lang yon. I-state na lang natin like that. Tapos, ang tanong natin, makatarungan. Do you think makatarungan para sa mga mayayaman? Na ibaburden mo sa kanila yung responsibility for the government's, that it should be a government's responsibility? Imagine that.
I am not normalizing corruption. I'm just acknowledging the fact na corruption is inevitable. Kahit ano pang gawin nating accountability, transparency, corruption will... Nandyan yung corruption.
Then, ini-eliminate mo yung purpose ng government.
Let's pose that question again. Palit tayo. So, Marcos and Aaron, if there is already corruption, how can you make wealth taxation work under that pretense? Kasi you guys already acknowledge the fact that corruption is inevitable and thus exists in multitude of scales in different countries. How can you make that work if there is wealth taxation? In your case, since you identified that corruption should not be present, what do you think is the existing system or an alternative system that you can propose given that hindi mo naman agad maiaalis ang korupsyon sa bansa? Marcos.
Ayun nga, no? So deeply embedded talaga ang corruption sa ating bansa. But to think of it, no? Nasabi nila kanina na magkakaroon ng capital flight risk. Nasabi ko rin na tatakbo nga yung mga investors and yung mga ultra-rich. So, balikan lang natin, ano ba yung root ng corruption sa Pilipinas? Yung malawakang lobbying, yung bribery, graft, na maaaring mula sa ultra-rich na class na pinopondohan nila yung campaign ng mga politiko na ngayon ay nakaupo sa Kongreso. So kung tatakbo yung mismong mga kapitalista na yon, sino na magpopondo sa kampanya? May mananalo pa ba na corrupt na politiko? Yun ang solusyon namin.
Okay. Aaron, what
A
do you have to
data
say to
from
that?
the Transparency International revealed that in Asia, 19% of the people that they have interviewed admitted that they have committed bribery in the last 12 months. Now,
Okay.
again, let me point out, corruption is intolerable at every scale. But
Okay.
you should not let it happen at any scale because corruption costs life. We do not treat life as statistics. We are talking about the life of an individual who is ending because of corruption. We have incurred 1,200 at least of maternity preventable death. If
Okay.
it could have been done,
Okay, balik tayo sa central statement ha. We are not talking about corruption. We are talking about how can you make wealth taxation work even in the pretense of corruption, or in your case, since you do not agree with wealth taxation, how can you remove that baseline of corruption given the existing system, or is there an alternative taxation system that should be proposed or a different tax reform? Marcos.
Again, no, part ng wealth tax na pinopropose namin ay isang comprehensive. So, nabanggit ng aking team kanina na magkakaroon tayo ng standardized valuation sa real properties para matax natin ito mabuti. Does that include corruption? Possibly, but we can mitigate those same corruption kung uunahin natin alisin yung root and stem ng corruption, which is yung mga ultra-rich class. And to think, ang wealth taxation ay magre-remove din sa iilan sa mga politikong bahagi ng ultra-rich class. At mabanggit ko lang, habang ang ating mga kababayan na nagtitiis sa maliit na sahod, yung iba dyan, may Rolls-Royce na may umbrella.
Okay?
Okay,
Aaron.
going back to the question, point out, transparency is the enemy of corruption. And that's the reason why we are advocating for the appeal or the repeal of the Bank Secrecy Act. Repeal it with the Bank Secrecy Waiver Act that is in lobbying in Congress right now. Complement it together with the Right to Information Act for us to properly monitor the transactions in the government. Again, transparency in government. Hindi mo may pagkakataon ka at mataas ang tsansa mo na makahuli na magnanakaw kung transparent yung salamin sa harap mo.
Okay. Sige, Marcos.
Wouldn't the implementation or the passing of the bank secrecy or the repeal of the bank secrecy law would also benefit the implementation of the wealth taxation? Is the bank secrecy law exclusive to politicians? We already have AMLA. Bank secrecy law could also apply to the ultra-rich billionaires and the capitalists. We can access their private accounts and balance sheets so we can determine if they have been paying taxes equitably to what they are earning.
But are you sure that that those rich politicians are hiding their money here? Let us talk about the Pandora Papers in 2021. How many people in the Philippines are involved in that paper revealed? That is revealed by the various journalists throughout the world. How sure are you that they, the ultra-rich, are hiding their money here? Tell me. Give me a number.
Well, there is no certainty.
Precisely, and that's the problem. We do not have a definitive number of the money that they have here, much more in another country. And the Pandora Papers revealed that in 2021.
On account of transparency and the fact that wealth taxation might or may work in a pretense of an already corrupt system, punta tayo sa relevance in terms of social media. One way that we were able to identify the ultra-rich in the Philippines, or they may not even be part of the ultra-rich, pwedeng loud lang sila and part of a different socio-economic class, ay social media, okay? Dadagdagan ko lang yung tanong kasi we're already in the free flow, ah. Sa panahon ng social media, kung saan kitang-kita nyo ang luho ng ilang mga milyonaryo at bilyonaryo, habang marami ang naghihirap sa buhay, dapat ba talaga or is increasing the tax of the super rich gonna help with that? And in your case, even that there are many ways to evade the taxes, how do you think the proposed system that you are saying is actually guaranteed to really capture these people who evade the taxes? Aaron, ikaw muna.
Well, as for our end, we have a clear policy on that. Strengthen our bureaucratic system. Let the 5 facets of state capacity be fulfilled. Again, repeat it for the public to know. Capacity to tax effectively. Capacity to spend tax effectively. Capacity to pursue corruption cases. Capacity to bring transparency. And most importantly, capacity to deliver visible public services and goods. That's how simple it was.
Yun nga, no? Kaya nga nakikita natin na talagang kailangan ng wealth tax kasi lantaran na yung pagmamayabang, pagpapakita ng kayamanan nila sa mga tao gamit ang social media. Doon nga natin na-discover yung flood control projects na scam pala, no? So, makikita natin na habang ating mga kababayan nagtitiis sa minimum wage na 695 pesos, sila tong mga nag-out of the country, naka-private jet. So, anong pinapakita nun? Pinapakita nun ang insensitivity ng mga ultra-rich class na yan, kaya dapat magkaroon tayo ng wealth tax.
Again, let me reiterate yung sinabi ni French kanina. Hindi mo mapupuno ang isang timba ng tubig kung yung timba na yun butas in the first place. No matter how much you pour water, no matter how hard you try, it will just fall. Maraming butas. May 5 tayong butas na sinabi ko kanina. Ngayon, up until the point that the affirmative side proved to me that you have the state capacity, then we will fall on the status quo. No, ang sagot, and we will stay on that.
Okay. Sige, maraming salamat. I think we already ended the discussion at that note. Sa aming pagbabalik, alamin naman natin kung sino ang mag-uuwing best speaker para sa debate natin ngayong araw at basahin din natin ang komento ng ating mga schoolmates online. Lahat ng yan ay sa pagbabalik lamang ng Schoolmates!